Now we're going to take some fundamentals and apply them to these patterns. And we're also going to introduce another idea too, which is to play horizontally up and down the neck. So you're going to have two methods of doing these things: pattern playing using the CAGED system, and then just a horizontal approach to the neck. Let's look at triads. And I find learning triads, the very simplest way of doing it is to take this chord, this C chord, this chord is made up of three notes: C, E, G, C, E, G. So C, E, G, but you can have multiples of them. We're going to first go horizontally, and then we will look at the CAGED system. So if you take this chord and just take the first three strings, you have G, C, and E. And if we were in a music theory class, they would call that the second inversion. The first position is root, C in the bass. The first inversion would have E in the bass, and the second inversion has G in the bass. What we're going to do is just run up these three strings. So G would go up to C, C would go to E, E would go to G. So this is a root position triad. And I correspond that to this bar chord. I just think of it as the top of that. Now if we do the same thing, C to E, E to G, G to C, we have our third triad. This is the first inversion. It's got E in the bass. We could go up one more time and play basically that chord again an octave higher. So we're going to do this with each set of strings, of three strings. So now the second, third, and fourth string, our chord is E, G, C. That is a first inversion chord. We move up. Now we have a second inversion, G, C, E, and think of it as part of that chord. Now we have a root position. Think of it as part of that chord. And if we go up one more time, we've duplicated this an octave up. Our next group of strings are A, D, and G. Our first chord is a root position, C, E, G. We move up. We have a first inversion, E in the bass, E, G, C. Move up one more time. We have a second inversion, C chord with G in the bass, and again, I think of it as part of that chord. And if we go up one more time, we have that an octave higher. Finally, the bottom three strings, we have G, C, E. That's a second inversion chord. If we come up here, we have a root position C chord. If we come up to here, we have a first inversion C chord with E in the bass. So now we can go up any group of strings playing C triads. The next thing we want to do is learn them vertically in the positions. So with this C chord, it actually gives us all the triads. That's the first set of three strings. That's G, C, E. Next set, that's E, G, C. Next set, C, E, G. Last set, G, C, E. We go up to here, starting off that bar chord. This is second position. We've got root position, C, E, G, G, C, E, E, G, C, and then finally C, E, G. Now notice we're crossing positions. This is position 2. When we add the low E note, we're now in the third position based off of the G chord. All right, let's go up to the fourth position. The first chord we have is a first inversion with E in the bass. The second chord we have, based on the second, third, and fourth strings, has C in the bass, so that's a root position. The next one, based on the fifth, fourth, and third strings, that's second inversion with G in the bass. And the last one, based on the bottom 3 strings, that's E, G, C. That's first position. So, fourth position, fourth position, fourth position, fifth position. First position, first position, first position, first position. Second position, second position, third position, third position. Fourth position, fourth position, fourth position, fifth position. So now we've covered all of the triads. The next thing I want to cover are arpeggios. And arpeggios and triads can be very confusing because they have the same notes in them. But the idea, when you play a triad, it's clearly a chord. When you play an arpeggio, it literally means broken chord. So the idea is you get it to sound like a line of notes, but it's really the notes of a chord. So in position 1, we use the same chord again. You have to be very careful to mute the notes. If I started on the lowest note, it would be this G. And you can see the difficulty I'm having muting some of these notes. You almost have to. Most of the time, you would not be playing this with open strings. You'd be playing it up here. And you could see that it's much easier to control those notes. So you can naturally mute them out. So first position here as well. Second position, we start on the 3rd fret of the A string, C, E, G, C, E, G, down to G and back to C. Now notice I'm playing these notes with my 4th finger. You can also use your 3rd finger as well. Let's go up to the 3rd position. I'm going to start with my little finger on the 8th fret of the 6th string. And again, the way to memorize these is think 4, 3, 1, 1, 1, 4, 4, 4, 4, 1, 1, 1, 4, pardon me, 3, 4. Or 8th fret, 7th fret, 5th fret, 5th fret, 5th fret, 8th fret, 8th fret. Get so you know those, so you can say them without playing it and then start to play it. All right, going to the 4th position. So 2nd finger, 1st, 4th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 2nd. You can also, instead of using your 4th finger, use your 3rd finger. I would work on it so you can do both of those. You can use the same method with the triads and with these arpeggios to move to other keys. So if I wanted to do all of this in the key of F, I would start, I know this is the fourth pattern, so I would use the fourth pattern for that arpeggio, the fifth, the first, the second, the third, and let me go back and do the triads one time. So triads for F, fourth pattern, fifth pattern, first pattern, second pattern, moving to third. Now we've covered arpeggios and triads, taking them through these octave patterns. Let's look at creating a major scale. And with this, we're going to go up and down the neck horizontally. So a major scale has a formula based on, if you look at a piano and play C to C, it's all white keys. You have whole step, half step. C to D is a whole step, D to E is a whole step. E to F is a half step. F to G, whole step. G to A, whole step. A to B, whole step. B to C, half step. So the formula is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. If I go up any string, let's just take the low E. Whole step to F sharp, whole step to G sharp, half step to A, whole step to B, whole step to C sharp, whole step to D sharp, half step to E. I can go up any string like this. A, whole step to B, whole step to C sharp, half step to D, whole step to E, whole step to F sharp, whole step to G sharp, half step to A. You'll also see the key signatures as you do this. So key of A has 3 sharps. D, whole step to E, whole step to F sharp, half step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B, whole step to C sharp, finally D. So D has 2 sharps, C and F sharp. Now that we have the formula, let's go back to our octave patterns and create major scales in each one of these places. So if we start here, C, whole step to D, that's the open string, whole step to E, that's the 2nd fret of the D string, half step to F, that's the 3rd fret, whole step, that's open G, whole step, that's A, that's the 2nd fret, whole step, that's open B, half step, 1st fret of the B string, whole step, 3rd fret of the B string, whole step, that's open E, half step to F, whole step to G. Let me show you the second pattern. So if I go to position 2, I start on the same note, but I start with my 2nd finger. And again, I recommend memorizing the fingering. So 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 4, 1, 2. And I want you to get so you can look at that and go 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 4, 1, 2. If you can recite that like that, you have really got it. The 3rd scale starts with your little finger on the 8th fret. 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, backwards, 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1, 3, 4. That's for the third position. For the fourth position, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, backwards, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 4, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 2. Finally, the last one, we start on the D string on the 10th fret with our second finger, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 4, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1. Then I play back to where I started, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2. So now we have C major scales that cover the entire neck, and we can use those same scales, these 5 patterns, for all of the other keys. So you've got 12 times 5. There's this concept called relative major, relative minor. So any major key has a relative minor that is a minor third lower than its root. So you can play the same scale. If I play that against a C chord, it's a C major scale. If I play it against a minor chord, it's minor. So now we have twice as many. We have 12 keys, we have 5 patterns of those 12 keys, multiply that, and then multiply it by 2, you get twice as much. The next concept is you can take all of these 5 patterns, and if you throw out the 4th note in the key of C, that's an F, and the 7th note, then you end up with a major pentatonic scale. And a major pentatonic scale, if you're familiar with the song My Girl, it's that lick. A lot of people use major and minor pentatonic scales as the basis for their solos, particularly in the blues, but also because the spacing, by tossing out those 2 notes, it's almost like a combination of a scale and an arpeggio. So you can play some really great solos playing nothing but pentatonic scales. The same thing holds true with the relative major, relative minor. So C major pentatonic becomes A minor pentatonic. So now we have major, minor, major pentatonic, minor pentatonic, times 5, times 12. So we now know hundreds and hundreds of patterns, and we're good to go with almost any key. The next thing I want you to do is to take your major scales and practice connecting 2 of them together. So if I took position 2 and position 3, take each string and move from that string, whatever string you start with, move up to the next pattern and then play throughout that pattern. So I'm starting with my second finger, I might slide up, leapfrog to my third finger, I might play this with my first finger, slide up. Now I will play to the next string. So far I'm in the pattern of pattern 2, but I'm going to leapfrog up to pattern 3. I'll now do it on the G string. So I'll go 1, 3, 1, 3, and I'm in pattern 3. I'll do it on the B string. 1, 3, 1, 3, finally on the last string. I'm just going to slide from my first finger. Now, depending on what you're trying to play, you might find that maneuvering from one pattern to another works better in one method or another, again, depending on the phrase you're going to play. Like here, I could have leapfrogged 1, 3, 1, 3. Slide 2, 4, 3, 1, 2, 4, 4. So there are all these different methods. I would practice this with each pair. So pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 2, pattern 3, pattern 3, pattern 4, pattern 4, pattern 5. And I would practice them going up and going down, because eventually you're going to start to see these patterns. I know in my early days I tended to play in patterns, and most of what I would play would be in one pattern, and then I might shift to another one, but mostly I would play in 1 or 2 patterns. Now I find all these patterns have blended together, and I just kind of see the neck as one big pattern. So let's look at another concept. We're going to take this idea of extending our pattern, and we're going to create patterns that have 3 notes. So I'm going to take each one of the patterns. I'm going to start with pattern 2. My fingering is going to be the same all the way across. 1, 2, 4. So 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, next string, 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, next string, 4th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, next string, 5th fret, 6th fret, 7th string, next string, 5th fret, 7th fret, 8th fret. Going backwards, 8, 7, 5, 8, 6, 5, 7, 5, 4, 7, 5, 3, 7, 5, 3, 7, 5, 3, and then back to where we started. Now we can do this with each set of the patterns that we have. We combine them so we end up with scales that are 3 notes per string. Why do you do that? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, there's a technique called legato playing, where you use hammer-ons and pull-offs to play 3 notes with 1 pick. And some people like that sound, that it gives it a unique sound, less attack than that. Some people find that they can play quite a bit faster doing it this way. Once you establish 3 notes per string, it's relatively easy to do. The other reason is there's a style of picking called economy picking. When you're picking a string with a downstroke, if you're going to a lower string, you would just continue with a downstroke, so it would be down, down. If you do scales with 3 notes per string, you can consistently go down, up, down, and then the next string is going to be down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. Backwards, if you play all the way to the top, it's the opposite. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. If you want to play, get to a section and turn around and come back, you have to figure out how to navigate that, and I'll show you a few ways of doing that. Down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, and now I'm just going to come back up. So down, up, and I'm back on my pattern again. Down, up, up. If I go all the way to the top note, then I'll skip the B note. That was a down. Now I'm back to the up, down, up, down, up, down. If I want all these notes, I might add a chromatic note to get me back to the up, down, up, down. So down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. All right, the next thing I would recommend would be to take your patterns and the scales that we've created with them and just take 2 or 3 notes on top. So here, that's pattern 1. Go up to pattern 2, pattern 3, 4, 5. If you wanted, maybe you'd do 3 notes. So I just went through patterns 1 through 5. I find an awful lot of what I'm playing, particularly when I'm playing fills, are played on the top 3 strings. So it's a really good idea to work through those positions playing on just those top strings. I mentioned that as the time has gone on, that I just look at the neck as one big scale. The neck looks to me like when you're flying in at night on a plane and you see all the lights down below. So if you say the key of G, or C, you know, it's just whatever key you say, the lights go up and I see all the notes. So I'm going to do a few scales in the key of G. So I just played from one end of the neck to the other. And with no particular order. Some people do this by sliding on half steps. I just tend to find fingerings that feel really comfortable for me, but every time I move, it's one of those 5 patterns. So like right here, I'm in pattern 4 for the key of G. Now I'm in pattern 5. Now I'm in pattern 1, now 2, now 3. If I were in the key of C, I'm starting in pattern 1, pattern 2, 3, 4, 5, back to 1. All right. So I've given you a lot of material. I've given you the CAGED system for a method of thinking in position and vertically, triads, arpeggios, major scales, major pentatonic scales, minor pentatonic scales, 3 notes per string, playing up and down horizontally on the neck as well. So you've got an awful lot of material. Thanks for joining us today. See you next time.